Hi beautiful, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna take you through some of the issues and pain points you've shared with me on Instagram on draping a sari. This is actually part 2 of my series, so if you haven't already checked it out, check out part 1. I will link it here. So let's get started. One of you mentioned that your biggest concern is always feeling like your sari is going to fall off or come undone, and then having to waddle around like a penguin because you want to keep everything on and avoid any wardrobe malfunctions. So we all face that, and here are some tips to avoid feeling like that and making sure that your drape stays put and exactly where you want it so you can be comfortable. So first up, you want to make sure that whatever undergarment you wear or whatever underskirt you choose to wear, you tie the drawstring really tight. This is because it's going to hold this entire roll of fabric. It's 6 yards of fabric coming with its weight, and it's just a lot of fabric. So you want to make sure that the drawstring is tied as tight as comfortably possible. Now with our Saree Silhouettes, you can tie it really tight and it's not gonna hurt you or dig into your skin. But some underskirts, if you were to tie it really tight, it might be a little uncomfortable, but that is one way to ensure that your sari stays put and you don't feel uncomfortable or like it's gonna come undone. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, I feel like a lot of people find it hard to walk in a sari because they haven't done the tiniest little step of making sure that you've tucked your sari in at the right height. So I highly recommend putting on your footwear, whatever footwear you're gonna wear, whether it's heels or flats. If you were to tuck it in haphazardly like this, and you see how it's dragging, you're gonna end up stepping on it at some point and you're gonna feel uncomfortable because then you're gonna actually feel like it's coming undone, and that's not untrue. I mean, it is gonna be coming undone. So just take that extra time when you're draping to make sure that it's lightly grazing the floor and that you can still see your toes, once it's tucked in. So that's step number 1. The biggest tip I have for you to ensure that the back of the sari doesn't rise up and it doesn't feel like it's shorter than the front is to actually tuck in less at the back. So here I am tucking this first part in, and I'm actually gonna tuck in even less so that it looks a little bit longer. And then when you're done draping, you can actually come back. So I'm gonna do my front pleats now. And then once I'm done my front pleats and put on the pallu, you can actually come back and untuck a little bit here so that if it does feel like it's dragging up, which you might find with the pallu, you can always just untuck a little bit. The next tip revolves around your front pleats. Again, this is another opportunity for you to ensure that you don't step on your sari and that everything doesn't come undone. And to have some insurance against that, what you're gonna do is make sure once you've pleated and pinned together your front pleats and you're happy with how it looks, you wanna ensure that not only are you putting in a pin through all of the pleats, you're also going to put a pin in through the skirt, so your underskirt. The reason for this is even if all of these pleats are pinned together, if it was tucked in and let's say accidentally you step on these pleats, it'll come out. Now, if it's pinned to your skirt, it's not gonna move because again, your skirt is tied tightly to your body, and even if you were to step on it accidentally while getting out of a car or getting up from your chair, nothing is gonna change in terms of the pleats coming undone. So pin together all of the pleats and then to your skirt. And then you can feel really secure that no matter what you do, you're not going to see anything come undone. Just like you did with the inside of the sari, when you go to tuck in your pleats, make sure that they're not trailing. You don't want them to look like that because first of all, it doesn't look good and you're gonna step on them. So make sure they're just lightly grazing the floor. Like lightly grazing the floor, not too short, not too long, just right. And then you wanna just grab your underskirt and pin all of the pleats and the underskirt together. I do this on the outside because the pallu is gonna cover this pin anyway. So I'm gonna tuck this in. And again, when you go to tuck it in, make sure it's nice and flat against your body. There's no bulges there. And then you can go ahead and do your hip pleats. So tightness when wearing a sari, I'm gonna assume that you want it to form to your body and, you know, make it look as nice as possible. So there's two big spots at which you can achieve this. One is your left hip pleats, and then the other part is to shape this side of your body. You're gonna do it with your pallu. So first, let's do this. I've pleated and pinned the front pleats. What I'm gonna do is go through this little pocket here and pull these pleats and ensure that this is nice and tight. So there's not like a lot, you know, like if it's like this, obviously it's not gonna look tight and it's not doing your body any favors. So you wanna make sure you're pulling this as tightly as possible. You're both tightening this area of the sari, but also achieving hip pleats in the same go. And then you're just gonna pull that tight and tuck it in to your right side of your body. And then again, fold forward as like I always do with all of my drapes, so that this is nice and neat. Now, the next most important that I find a lot of people don't get right is ensuring that the pallu is nice and tight. So now I'm gonna pull the pallu, and the trick here is right now it's not pinned. And you'll see, if I was to just do this, I mean, you can wear the pallu like this, but you'll need a lot of pins to make sure it's nice and tight around here. The simplest thing you can do is just bring your pallu and pin it as tight as you can. That will automatically sculpt this side of your body. And so you've got the hip pleats sculpting this side of your body, and then your pallu kind of shaping and guiding this side of your body. And so your drape looks nice and neat. All it takes is 3 pins or 3 tucks. Basically, you wanna make sure this is nice and tight and you've got your pleats in the right spot and pinned. And then you wanna make sure that your left hip pleats have been pulled tight and tucked into your right hip. And then you wanna make sure that the pallu is nice and taut and pinned to your left shoulder. And that way the entire drape comes together and looks neat. So at an event, when you sit, obviously this side of the sari is going to lose its tension because it's not, you know, being pulled taut between the pin in front and the pin on your shoulder. So when you do get up, make sure you're shaking out these pleats and making sure that they're nice and neat and how you want them. Pull this up if you have to. And then what you're gonna do is kind of just like pull the sari down like that, because it probably just came up while you were sitting. And what that does is creates that tension again so that it looks nice and neat and the sari shapes your body on both sides. This concern is a valid concern, especially if you're teaching and you don't want any skin showing at all whatsoever. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can definitely make this wider. So when you do your chest pleats, make it as wide as you possibly can. And you can kind of see, even though it's ironed, I'm just going to like move all of the pleats like that. And you can just add a pin with this part of the fabric that's going down like that and the pallu. So right there. And that way you won't really see anything here. And then the back is nice and covered, and you want to make sure you're pulling it tight so that it stays there. You can also add some safety pins. The other option is to just wear a longer top or even a shirt and tuck it into your sari silhouette and then drape the sari as normal on top. That way, no matter how you move, nothing will be shown. Even if the front pleats move, you don't have to worry about any skin showing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found that useful or found it interesting. If you have any pain points or issues that you want me to solve or find a solution for in a future video, leave them in the comment box below. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in a future video.